What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So lots of cool news to go over this week. The first big news story here is that Dodge has revealed the Hellcat Redeye, which is this higher horsepower brand new version of the Hellcat for 2019 here. So basically it's the same engine as the Demon. It even has the larger 2.7 liter supercharger on it, but it has a slightly different tune. So it has 797 horsepower instead of 808 on the normal gas tune for the Demon there. It has 707 pound-feet of torque as well. And even though it's not quite as fast as the Demon, the numbers are still very impressive. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, quarter mile in 10.8 seconds at 131 miles per hour, and a top speed of 203, which is awesome. Also gets a couple other Demon tricks, like it has line lock, it has the AC intercooler after-run chiller system to help cool off those intercoolers there after a drag run, and also it has the torque reserve system to build boost before your launch, which is all cool. It also only comes in an automatic here for the Redeye version only, it also only comes with the wide body treatment there. Other things, you can see it has that new dual snorkel, is what they're calling it, hood, and that actually comes on all Hellcat Challengers. So really the only way to tell a difference between a Redeye and the regular Hellcat is the fender badge, which has an actual little red eye on the Hellcat, and also it has a slightly different rear spoiler. So those are the only giveaways that I can see between a regular, Hellcat and the Redeye version here. So kind of a little bit of a sleeper as well. Other things here though, speaking of the regular Hellcat, it's still available and you can still get it with a manual transmission as standard, and automatic of course is still an option on that. And so a few other things here about that Hellcat. The horsepower has been bumped from 707 horsepower to 717, 717. I think Mike Street Speed, they're calling him out. They just want him to buy one of these. They even make the horsepower the same as his username. Also, torque is 656 pound-feet now, and they said that they got that extra 10 horsepower thanks to the better breathing from those dual snorkels there in the hood, and so that's pretty cool. They're actually functional, and also now the RT Scat Pack can be had with the wide body treatment as well, so you get those same 305 wide tires all around on the Scat Pack, which is really cool. Again, just an option for the wide body. You don't have to get it with a wide body, of course. Also, you can see the old Hellcat hood has trickled down now to the Scat Pack, and now that's the hood you get with the Scat Pack. I hope they still retain the shaker hood as an option as well, because I thought that was really cool. Anyway, some other stuff here with the wide body Scat Pack. You also get the same larger 6-piston Brembos. You also get the other suspension upgrades you get there with the Scat Pack. Dodge also says that a wide body Scat Pack is about 2 seconds faster around a road course than driving the non-wide body version. So back to back on the same course, 2 seconds faster, which is really cool. And so yeah, production is going to be starting this fall, and they're going to be at dealerships before the end of the year. So very cool to see that. Should be an absolute blast, I'm sure. Also, the Charger Hellcat has some updates here for 2019 as well, they announced. So it has a new dual scoop grille you can see there, and there's an option for a matte black hood on the Hellcat version only. It also gets some Demon goodies with the after-run chiller for cooling off the intercooler, the torque reserve system for building boost, and also launch assist to help with traction and stuff, maximizes the grip. Still has 707 horsepower for the Charger version, so now officially the Charger is technically a little bit slower than the Challenger Hellcat, but not by much. Also, other Charger changes here. The RT and GT models get a hood scoop and rear spoiler now as well, along with the standard performance suspension setup. The GT model, it used to be the all-wheel drive, kind of version, but now it comes in rear-wheel drive as well, and it's going to be kind of marketed as the sportier version of the V6 for those that don't want the V8 for whatever reason, but want a little bit better handling. That's what you get there with the GT now. And the SXT can now also be had with all-wheel drive, so that new lower trim. If you just want an all-wheel drive Charger, you don't have to go up to the higher trim. You can now just get it in the regular SXT. The GT V6 makes 300 horsepower and 264 pound-feet of torque, but the SXT makes a little less, 292 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. And those are actually arriving this fall, and ordering opens at the end of the month for them, so very cool to see that. McLaren has revealed the all-new 600 LT this past week, and as you can see, it's a high-performance version of the 570S. It's faster and lighter, just better performance all around. It's actually 2.9 inches longer overall as well, which is what gives it and justifies that LT name, which stands for long tail. And so anyway, you can see it's going to have those very sweet top exit exhausts that combined with improved cooling actually help to bump the power up to 592 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque, which is 30 horsepower more and 14 pound-feet more than the 570S. And that's not a huge bump on its own, but the biggest news here is this car weighs 211.6 pounds less than the 570S. So over 200 pounds less, and that's thanks to lots of carbon fiber, that lighter and shorter exhaust, forged aluminum suspension components, and some lighter brakes as well. It has a little bit more of a stripped out interior with, has seats from the P1 as standard, although you can get Senna seats as an optional add-on if you like from the MSO division. Carbon fiber roof and vented front fenders are also optional, and so that's also cool to see. It's going to have a quicker steering rack, stiffer engine mount, so a little more raw and more dialed in, I think, as well. They're only going to be building them for 1 year, they said, but they didn't say any kind of production limit. They just said production starts in October, and that's it, and they're building them for a year. So I'm hoping they build as many as people order, but maybe they're just hiding what that production number will be, and maybe it will be capped. We'll have to wait and see. No pricing was given yet for that either, but I'm sure it's going to be very expensive, but should come in under some of the Super Series stuff. And so anyway, very awesome to see that. Aston Martin has also revealed the brand new DBS Superleggera for the 2019 model year here. It's got the same 5.2 liter twin turbo V12 engine as the DB11 that it's based on, although definitely has much different looks, and I think it actually looks really good there. I know the wide open grille might not be for everybody on it, but I personally think it looks really sweet. I just think it's very race car looking almost, very aggressive and very cool. So anyway, that twin turbo V12 has been worked over from the DB11 here. Much more power, 715 horsepower to be exact. 664 pound-feet of torque, and so 0 to 60 is only 3.4 seconds, which is very competitive on its own. But thanks to it being a twin turbo version of the V12, I think that's where it kind of has a little bit of a leg up on some of the other competition that might be naturally aspirated. So 0 to 100 only takes 6.4 seconds. 50 to 100 miles per hour in fourth gear is only a 4.2 second stint. So very, very quick. 211 mile per hour top speed. Of course, it's still rear-wheel drive, has the same 8-speed automatic transmission as the DB11, and it has a mechanical limited slip diff with torque vectoring as well to help with that handling. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be very, very promising. It's going to be starting at $304,995, so $305,000, and they're going to be arriving actually later in the year. So before the end of this year, they should be starting to arrive. Koenigsegg this past week has shown off a teaser for the new Agera RS replacement that they haven't named yet, but we know it's going to be debuting according to, I guess they showed this teaser image at like some private event or something, and they revealed there that this new vehicle will be revealed at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show in the next March. And so we don't really know too much about it. Just in a previous interview with Top Gear magazine, Christian von Koenigsegg himself said that the new car will be more capable than the Agera RS, and it won't be a hybrid like the Riviera, so it's going to just improve upon the supercharged V8 that I think the current Agera RS has, maybe just like an evolution of that. We'll have to see, and we can't really make out much from the little rendering there of the back end, but anyway, cool to see that something new's in the works over there. Something that unfortunately is being killed off here for the States is Alfa Romeo has confirmed that the 4C Coupe will no longer be offered here in the States. So the Spider version will still be available and will continue to live on for the 2019 model year, and after that, who knows? But at least, the Coupe won't see a 2019 model year here in the States. The rest of the world, I get what they say is that they are still going to continue to build it and offer it for the rest of the world, where I guess it sells better than it does here. Here, it never, I think both Spider and Coupe sales combined never even got beyond 100 units a month. So very, very, slow selling, and I think that's part of why they're, discontinuing it. But I don't think that's the entire reason either. I think, they need a halo model, and they've said that in the past, especially now that they're getting into racing and stuff. But we do know that a 6C is on the horizon, and that was part of FCA's 5-year plan. Is a new sports car is coming, probably a couple. And so, this isn't going to be the end for Alfa Romeo sports cars in the States or anything like that. And like I said, the Spider is still available, but still a bummer to see the 4C Coupe going away, because it's a very fun little car. I just drove the Spider on a quick drive video a couple of years ago. Absolutely loved it. And so anyway, interesting to hear that, though. Nissan has also revealed the GTR 50 by Italdesign this past week. And so before anyone gets excited, Nissan says there's no plans for a production version of this, and it's not a preview of a next generation GTR. They said this is just to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the GTR, and that's it. So, don't get your hopes up. Although maybe the Nissan designers could take a little bit of inspiration from this, or work with Italdesign on the future actual, R36 or whatever version they call it of the GTR. But man, does that thing look sweet. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think that looks amazing. So it's just a reworked body for the current GTR, that it's based on. But it's clearly, you can see lower and wider. It has a very cool back end, especially. I like that new take on the traditional GTR taillights. That looks so cool. Other things here. On the inside, you can see the infotainment system's gone. Has a race set of gauges there, all digital. That looks very cool, but again, very driver focused, I guess. Also has more power though. Like, they really went through this car thoroughly. That makes me think they might actually produce or sell this. I know they said they're not going to, but this is like a very thorough 50th anniversary car to never even drive. So that has more power, 710 horsepower, so 110 more than a Nismo GTR, 575 pound-feet of torque thanks to bigger turbos from the GT3 racing version of the GTR, larger intercoolers, more aggressive camshafts, and improved internals as well. The diffs and axles are all stronger as well to handle that beefed up power. 6-piston Brembos are in the front to slow it all down. 4 pistons in the rear. It has a Bilstein active suspension as well to help with all that handling. So again, a very thorough redo of a vehicle that will never probably see the road if this is just some, celebration thing and that's it. But anyway, interesting to see that, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that a next-gen GTR does end up looking something like that somehow, because that thing looks really cool. Honda has also revealed a new vehicle, actually 2 new vehicles this past week. They're both just refreshes. The first is the 2019 Honda Pilot was shown. I just showed spy shots of that last week, and this week we have the official reveal. And so first off, the Pilot gets the more aggressive front end that you can see there, styling that's similar to the Accord with the grille and headlights. Unfortunately, they didn't provide very many pictures at all, so we can't really even see the back end or any other angles, so I apologize for that. But anyway, what we can see and what's listed here in the press release, they say that it's going to have a new available hands-free power tailgate, 4G LTE Wi-Fi, a larger rear entertainment system with Blu-ray and streaming video capabilities as well, which is cool. And it also is getting from the Honda Odyssey the cabin talk in-car PA systems. You can announce whatever to the third row if it's hard for them to hear you or whatever. It also has the cabin control smartphone app, so that anyone in the car can actually control the climate control and change that without having to go to the front or anywhere else. They can just do it from their phone, which is cool. It also gets the new display audio infotainment system, which has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the return of a volume knob, which everyone will be excited about. The Touring and Elite trims now also get some refinement to the 9-speed automatic transmission. And also, Honda Sensing is now standard on all Pilots, so that's the driver safety system. And anyway, those are going to be going on sale July 16th, so interesting to hear that. The other Honda that was shown was the refreshed HR-V for 2019. So that gets the new styling up front. You can see is similar to, almost looks like a baby Pilot. And also, that's getting new sport and touring trims for the HR-V as well. They're also adding in that new display audio system with CarPlay and Android Auto. The CVT and the all-wheel drive system, they say both have been refined and kind of redone a little bit there. It also has variable ratio electric power steering now, and additional sound deadening has been added to help with the refinement inside as well. Honda Sensing is going to be available on EX and up trims, is where you get that package. So not standard equipment on every HR-V, but for the class, being the small like subcompact crossover class, very cool that they're offering it, and that it's standard on the EX, which I think is, the volume seller anyway. And anyway, those are going to be going on sale July 24th, so interesting to see that. Audi has also revealed a mild refresh here for the 2019 A4. Now, this is the European version, but we'll probably be getting most of these same changes here in the States as well. So you can see up front, you have sportier front and rear bumpers, and what you're seeing here is this new S-Line competition package, which may or may not come over to the US, but I am inclined to think that it will. And so it gives you this sportier suspension setup, red brake calipers, unique 19-inch wheels, which look very cool. You also have Audi logos on the lower part of the rear doors there, and there's LED lighting now that's included in that competition package there. You also see on the inside some carbon fiber trim. And yeah, so I mean, it looks pretty good though. Otherwise, just a little bit of a sportier front and rear bumper, and very mild changes for the A4. And so I mean, good to see. And they revealed some images of the wagon version, which sadly we don't get here in the States. We only get the all-road lifted wagon. But anyway, all those changes will also carry over to the wagon. So I'm assuming the all-road will also get those changes or something similar. But anyway, cool to see that. And some other Audi news: we have some spy shots thanks to Brian Williams this past week. The first is the SQ8 was spied, completely uncamouflaged here. It doesn't have any badging, so that'll help to spruce up a little bit more. But it looks much better, I think, than a regular Q8 in my opinion. It looks really, I think, it really just fits it better, I think, in the S version here. It looks really good to me. So the reports are saying it's going to get the same motor as the other S models in this class of Audi. So that probably will be the 3-liter twin-turbo V6, which has 444 horsepower. But it could have a hybrid component, they're saying, as well, even in the just regular SQ8 version, and that could potentially boost it a little bit more as well, but that's kind of up in the air. Another vehicle that was spied was a Ranger Raptor, but this one was left-hand drive for the first time. So previously there was right-hand drive versions testing here in the States, and we know that obviously it was revealed back over the winter here, and it's going to be available in other markets around the world. But it's been always very likely that we were going to be getting the Ranger Raptor, and this kind of reaffirms that, the fact that obviously we're not the only left-hand drive country that would want a Ranger Raptor or be getting one, so this could still just be for another market. But the fact that they're testing it here in the States and stuff, I think it's probably pretty likely we will be getting some of these here. Now, I think the spy photographer said that this one sounded like it had the diesel 4-cylinder, which still is a possibility here for the States, but it's more likely that the version we would get would probably have a more powerful version of the 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder that's going to be in the regular Ranger. That's also, of course, found in the Mustang EcoBoost and the Focus RS and stuff like that. And hopefully it would maybe have power like similar to those models. Over 300 horsepower would be nice here, and give it a little bit more of an edge over like the V6 version of the Colorado ZR2 and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what they do for horsepower on that, but hopefully they do bring it here to the States. I think it's a no-brainer. It would sell like hotcakes. And so anyway, interesting to see that. Some other truck news very quickly is that Ram announced they're still going to be offering the previous gen Ram 1500 as the new Classic trim for 2019. It's going to be called the 2019 Ram 1500 Classic. And so it's similar to how they sold the old Wrangler alongside the new one for a while, about a year or so before they finally got rid of that. And so now there's not as many choices before, so if you still want a fully loaded previous gen Ram, you can probably still find one on a dealer lot somewhere. But if you want to order one of these 2019 Classics, they're available in Tradesman, Express, and Bighorn versions only. Still has the same engine and cab choices as before, and they're going to be on sale later this year. And I'm guessing it'll just only stick around for about another year or so here, but we'll have to see. Anyway, interesting to see that. Mercedes has applied for a few trademarks according to Auto Guide this past week. That gives us a little bit of a hint of some of their future products they're possibly planning here. So first, they applied for the C53 trademark, which means that either the 53 version will replace the 43 like it did on the E43, which went away and made way for the 53 version, or this could also slot and be a third AMG model, although that's seems a little less likely, but they just redid the 43, so I'm kind of surprised they're considering doing a 53, but I think this is part of Mercedes' effort to just electrify everything and give everything, some type of hybridization, and so that, the 53 is just the 43 powertrain with that electrical component to give it an extra boost, so that could be what they end up doing with that, so maybe the 43 won't be sticking around super long, we'll have to see. Other trademark filings, though, that AutoGuide discovered was for the new GLB crossover, which is going to be like a baby G-Wagon and slot in between the GLA and the GLC. So the models that are listed here, and a lot of these will probably be for international customers as well, so not all coming to the States, but they have GLB 180, 200, 220, 250, GLB 35, GLB 40, GLB 43, and GLB 53. So I'm guessing we probably won't get anything lower here in the States than the 250, because that's generally, as far as branding goes for vehicles here, that's the lowest that it goes. And that's the 2-liter turbo motor, which totally makes sense. And we do know the new AMG A-Class will be getting the 35 and the 40, I think is what the rumors are. So those make sense as well if it's based on the GLA platform, which is what we've been hearing. But if they can fit that twin turbo V6, that's what the 43 and 53 models would signify. That would be very sweet, and I think it would be nice too, because they're saying this could actually have a third row for this vehicle, which is interesting considering the GLC doesn't have a third row, and this GLB is supposed to be slotted beneath it. So we'll have to see. But in that case, if you have a bigger one that's seating 7 people or something, you might want a little bit more punch than a turbo 4-cylinder. But anyway, that's interesting to hear all those. They probably won't debut until next year for any of those GLBs, but anyway, interesting to see that. Other stuff, speaking about Mercedes and their hybrids and whatnot, Autocar is reporting that at least for the UK, Mercedes has discontinued all of their PHEV vehicles. So all the plug-in Mercedes currently are getting rid of for the UK there, and they're going to be replaced by the new EQ model line whenever that comes around, and that will also extend to the regular. The EQ line will have some unique models of their own, but that will also kind of blend over into the regular normal vehicle versions as well. And so that's interesting to hear, and there hasn't been any announcement for the States as far as our plugins here, but I'm guessing we'll have a similar type of thing happen pretty soon here. Other electrified vehicle news is that Volvo announced production numbers for that Polestar engineering version of the S60 T8 that I talked about last week, and they did say it'd be extremely limited quantities, but now we know just how limited, and it's pretty extreme. Only 20 of these are coming to the States, and they're only going to be available through that Care by Volvo subscription. And apparently, I think yesterday, the availability went live online to actually order one of these 20, and they sold out within minutes. And so, of course, when you only have 20 people ordering and then you're done, that only makes sense. So yes, if you wanted one of those, it's already too late unless you were one of those people that ordered. And hopefully they make more of those though down the road. But anyway, interesting to see that. Also, Chevy has made some changes to the Volt for 2019, but you wouldn't know it by looking on the outside because it's identical on the outside. The only change is there's going to be a new color offered called Pacific Blue Metallic, which strangely they didn't show in the new pictures for 2019 here. They showed it in silver instead for some reason. Anyway, the biggest news here for the Volt for 2019 is a new 7.2 kilowatt charging system that allows it to do a full recharge on its 53-mile range in only 2.3 hours. On a 240 volt outlet, which is a big improvement over the old system, which had a 4.5 hour charging time. So they cut that basically in half. And so it's going to be standard on the Premier trim, but optional on the LT. So you have to go up to the higher trim to even get the new powertrain or charging system here in the Volt. Otherwise, you're still stuck with the old one, which is kind of a strange thing to break up advancements by trim level. But anyway, so that's the main change there for it. Otherwise, inside there's a new black and blue interior option, and a power driver seat now comes standard on the Premier trim and is an option on the LT trim. So anyway, interesting to see that. Other electrified stuff. There's a couple new Tesla stories this past week. First is they dropped the price on the performance and dual motor versions of the Model 3. So performance version was originally $78,000, but now will be available with less standard equipment. So before it was like basically one price, fully loaded, and that's it. Now they're kind of saying, okay, we'll give you a lesser equipped version. That'll be $64,000 instead, but you do get that performance still. And then there's also separate going to be a performance upgrades package, and that is a new option that gets the 155 mile per hour top speed, 20-inch wheels, aluminum pedals, and carbon fiber spoiler. And then if you want the full self-driving full self-driving. Definitely need the quotations on that because it's not actually full self-driving. Autopilot system, that's another option. That's an extra cost. Even with all those options, though, the price is still only, I think, about $72 instead of the $78. So still a savings. They did actually lower the price, even if you do load it up still. So that's cool. Also, they announced a slight decrease in price on the regular all-wheel drive version of the Model 3. It's now $1,000 less at $52,000 starting for that. Still no $35,000 base cars, though, here for the Model 3, I think, until sometime next year. But anyway, interesting to see that. The other Tesla story, though, is very unofficial, but Elon Musk tweeted some preliminary specs, I guess, for this new pickup truck that they're planning that's still a ways off. Before this pickup truck happens, they have to get the Semi out, they have to get the Model Y done, and then the truck comes. So, having said that, here's what they're saying as far as preliminary stuff whenever this comes sometime after 2020. It's going to have standard all-wheel drive, according to Elon Musk, then auto-leveling suspension, auto-parallel parking, crazy torque, and then a 240-volt power outlet, or a couple of them in the bed, so that you don't need to bring a generator, he says, if you're out working and need to power up your stuff. But like I said, still a ways off. But anyway, interesting to kind of have a few tidbits of info there on it. He also asked on Twitter anyone else what their thoughts were on what they would want for a pickup truck from Tesla, and so they're still obviously incorporating other people's ideas and kind of formulating exactly what they want to do with it. So very, very early on, but anyway, interesting to hear that. And the last story this week is also something that's very futuristic and automated. That's actually coming a lot sooner. So this is, as far as at least automated delivery vehicles, this is pretty crazy. So Kroger has announced a partnership with Nuro, which is a company that has this little vehicle called the R1 that's an automated, a driverless delivery vehicle that supposedly actually works in the real world. So Kroger is announcing a partnership to deliver groceries with this little vehicle, and it's going to be starting this fall in one test city, and then see how that does and go from there. So, and as far as this little R1 vehicle is concerned, I think it actually looks kind of cute. Honestly, it's very small. The co-founder of the company said that the vehicle is considerate and conservative on the road, and it's about half the width and 2/3 the length of a Corolla. So a tiny little vehicle, and it only tops out at 25 miles per hour. It's an EV, of course, so I guess they are saying that it's very cautious and make sure it obviously has pedestrian detection, all that type of stuff to make sure that it doesn't hit anything or upset anyone. It obeys all the laws and stuff, but it is driverless, and there won't be anyone even sitting in it. There's no room for any passengers or anything, so there's no way to physically take control of this thing, which is kind of going to be interesting. We'll have to see what the pilot city is, as far as how this is going to work. Because another thing is, it only has a top speed of 25 miles per hour, which limits you to very urban areas. Where I think even a lot of urban areas, you go over 25 miles per hour. So I really hope they either increase the top speed on this thing or something, just because I feel like this thing's going to be, really slowing down the right lane on areas with, more than one lane of roadway in each direction, and stuff like that. So I hope this thing will be able to actually keep up with traffic. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting at least that they're going to be trying this out. Hopefully, again, staying off of faster roads so it doesn't actually slow down, 2-lane roads where the speed limit is 35 or something. Anyway, it's an interesting idea. I did not think stuff like this was ready to be actually tested in the real world. So we'll have to see where that first test city is, and hopefully there aren't any incidents. But this one will be interesting to watch, I think. But anyway, so that's it as far as all the updates here and news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.